This is our stealth camping vehicle. It's a completely stock 2013 F150. The only changes we've made to it are all on the inside, not the outside. Starting with getting rid of the center console in the front to make it easy to crawl straight from the driver's seat into the back. And we also use that timber to cook with a stove as well. So you can see the toilet, and that large timber box is what we use as a pantry, and then on top of the pantry we sit a suitcase full of clothing. Underneath the pantry is 2 deep cycle batteries that are connected to a DC-DC charger that run from the alternator to keep them charged. Here we use this as a freezer, and we swap out frozen bottles of water and put a little esky cooler next to it. The best change we've made is getting rid of the 2 windows and adding an accordion boot crawl through into the back. So wherever we pull over, we can just easily climb into the back without people seeing us do that, which makes it really, really stealthy for camping in. Here are the cabinets that I'll be putting into the back. There's just 4 main pieces, and if you think the shape is kind of unusual, it is. I used free timber that we scrounged from the internet, and I had to make things based on the size of the scraps that we had left over. So that just shows you what the accordion bit crawl through looks like coming from the back. I'll show you a look from the outside in just 1 second. So here, you can barely see it. It's a soft rubbery material. It clips onto the metal and the fiberglass where the windows would have originally been, and this is an offcut of that material. It is waterproof, driving at 70 miles an hour in a Florida hurricane. We did that recently. No water got in, but it's not great for going through car washes. The jet blasters to dry it tend to force water through those plastic grips. So yeah, these are the cabinets that I made. They're a little unusual looking, again, because they're made from scrap material. They didn't buy new timber to make this. You'll see that the bottom cabinets are actually made from a really horrible floorboard that doesn't even match. So this was actually the first cabinet that I made years ago, and I haven't changed it much since. It doesn't clip in anything. It just slots into place, and there's ridges on the floor that hold it there. This part, however, does actually get clamped to the side of the truck. And I've made a few modifications to this. I wouldn't want to draw the plans for it because it's very scrappy the way it's made. I struggle to find free timber to put this together. So I use just 2 little bolts to clip it to the bottom half of the cabinet. And then that red G-clamp you can see on the tailgate, I will use to clamp both parts of this to the outer tailgate wall. It has fold out, I don't know how to, like a desk, that also functions to hold equipment onto the cabinet. I rarely ever do fold it out. It seemed like a clever idea at the time, but I don't really, if I'm using a laptop or things like that, I usually just put it on my lap. And I once tried cooking on them, but I think it's just a little too dangerous to have open flames inside of a truck that has foam mattresses that are super flammable. So I never cook inside, especially with like flame or gas here. It seems clever having the fold-out tabletops, but I don't really use them much. This carpet I bought from Walmart for $20 and cut it to fit. The other carpet I bought from Fred Meyer, and it has a different base, and I don't like it quite so much. It's the crumbly, chalky glue rather than a nice smooth plastic. These 2 mattresses are 2 sections from a 3-section trifold I bought on Amazon. They're Milliard 6-inch queen size. These pillows actually come from our sofa. They're just from IKEA. I don't know if you can buy them separately, but I mean any pillow will do as long as they're quite thick and firm. My tailgate is 5 feet 5 inches, and I'm 5 feet 4 inches, so I fit. But if you're a tall guy, you're obviously going to want a bigger tailgate than this. A bigger truck bed than this. In sofa mode, you can fit 3 people lengthways. We obviously only travel with 2 people. There's only 2 seats in our truck. And this is just me demonstrating the crawl through again. So I used to have my rear shelf where the the back seats were, because they didn't have a crawl through at the time, and it was fine, but every time I wanted to get something from it, I would need to take my shoes off and climb into the truck and get the things. So even if I didn't have the crawl through, I would still actually want to keep my shelf closer to the tailgate rather than to the back seats. It just means that you can access anything without having to climb into the truck. I don't even have to drop the tailgate down. I just open the window and I can reach things from the chuck box that I put on here. So on this back shelf, I tend to put all of my cooking equipment because I cook on the tailgate if I'm cooking anywhere. I don't set up a separate table anywhere. I cook straight onto the tailgate. And now I will show you in a second how these clamps work. Both clamps work the same. They just go through a hole I cut in the plywood and tighten up onto the little overhang that the truck bed has. I'll zoom in just a second and show you. This piece of timber is super crummy. The floorboards kind of warp and wobble, and I really should have made that better. Yeah, so it's really simple. It just clips on right there. Now I climb in here to show you what it feels like inside. I get a lot of people doing a hashtag coffin life when they see my truck setup, and I don't think they realize that there's actually space for you to sit up inside there. Yeah, those are the fold-out tables that I don't often use. I made shelves for in there, but I tend not to use them either. There's plenty of space for 2 people to sit in there and use their laptops with elbow room. It's not actually a tight space in there at all. It's quite roomy. And the last thing I've got to add here is the chuck box itself, which I put all my cooking equipment in. Now, all these things were intentionally built so that one small female, me, could lift them without hurting my back or needing a helper. And this chuck box opens from both sides. So if I'm in the front and I want to duck into the back just to grab some cutlery, I don't have to climb out of the truck. I can just climb through my crawl through and open the inside window, which I'll demonstrate in a minute. And those shelves can be pulled out and moved. If you squint, you can probably see some extra lines where I've routed different places for those slide out shelves to move to. I'm pretty happy with how those are, as you can see them. And there's some little dots that you can see on the drop down door. I have hooks and I have magnetic little clips. So for utensils, I can just hang those off of those, and they don't make the tailgate dirty. And this is me demonstrating that it opens from the rear side as well. There we go. You can see both sides can be accessed. And yeah, I can grab anything I want from the tailgate without having to climb into the truck, having it with this setup. I much prefer it to the original way that I had it a few years ago.